Picture this: you're stranded in an unfamiliar city, night is falling, your phone contacts are dead ends, and the one person your brother tracked down to come rescue you is the exact man you publicly humiliated 12 hours ago. What do you do? What do you say? And most importantly, what does that moment reveal about the version of yourself you've been living as? Today, we are unpacking one real story. A young man, one terrible day, and the lesson he left behind that most people spend decades learning too late. Stay with me. There's a version of you that shows up when things get hard. When you're stressed, overwhelmed, running late, when the world feels like it's pressing in from every side. And most people don't like what they find there. The mask slips, the manners disappear, and what comes out isn't the person you think you are. It's the person you actually are when no one is watching. Or worse, when someone is watching and you just don't care. Here's the painful truth. Every stranger you've ever dismissed, cut off, or spoken to without basic dignity, they don't disappear. They go on living their lives. And sometimes, life will see right back to them, not as a coincidence, as a consequence. James grew up in the western part of Nigeria, Yoruba by birth. Home was familiar, life was manageable. Then he sat for his university entrance exam, the JAMB, and the results came back with good news: admission to a well-known university, hundreds of miles east. Unfamiliar territory, unfamiliar language, unfamiliar customs. But James was going to university. That was his dream. Except there was a problem. The university has given him sociology. He applied for economics. Small thing? No. These are completely different career trajectories, different course loads, different professional paths. So before James could even begin his first year, he had to travel east, alone, to fix a mistake that wasn't his. His mother had one message for him before he left: "You don't give up on this admission." James arrived early, and what followed was one of the soul-crushing rituals known to Nigerian students: the administrative runaround. Go to this office, they send you to that office. The office sends you back to the first one. Hours passed, nothing moves. For a young man navigating the campus he's never set foot on, in a region where the culture, the dialects, the unspoken rules were all foreign, it was overwhelming. By late morning, James was exhausted. He hadn't eaten properly, he didn't know where he was sleeping that night, his contacts were not picking up, but there was one moment, one small moment that would define the entire day. At the school gate, James was trying to board the motorcycle taxi to the admissions block. He was negotiating with the bike man when a stranger washed up. Young guy, clearly in a hurry. He spoke first. "Please, I have a seminar defense. I'm late, can I take this bike?" The bike man had a solution. He dropped the stranger first, then bring James to his destination. Efficient, simple, no one loses much time. James said no. He said no with attitude. "I came first." The argument stretched. Another bike appeared. The stranger boarded it and left without another word. James got on his bike. James got to the admissions block. James spends the rest of the day being bounced between offices. By evening, nothing has been resolved. The paperwork was still in limbo. The offices had closed. The contact James had agreed to stay with called. Emergency, out of town, nothing he could do. James was stranded. No accommodation, no familiar face, no plan. This is the moment you discover something about yourself. How you behave when the script runs out. Do you become smaller or do you become honest? James called his elder brother, explained everything. His brother made one phone call to a former fellowship president he knew from that very university. The president pulled a name from his contacts, someone trustworthy, someone reliable, someone nearby, and sent James the number. James dialed. The voice on the other end was calm, steady. "I'll come find you, just wait." James exhaled for the first time all day. 1 hour passed, then footsteps. A figure came into view, and James felt something drop in his chest because he knew that face. He had seen it in that morning, at the gate, over a motorcycle argument. The man walking towards him, the one his brother's contact had sent, was the exact stranger James had refused to extend basic courtesy to, 12 hours early. The same man James had dismissed with impatience and pride. He was the help. What do you say in that moment? What do you say? James apologized. Not a polished apology, a real one. He explained his day, his fear, and the stranger, who had every right to walk away, looked at him and said something James had likely never forgotten. No matter how difficult the situation may be, don't lose your sense of value, courtesy, and respect for people, because you never know who will be of help to you. Let that sit for a moment, not a lecture, not a speech, just a man who had been dismissed, disrespected, and left at the gate, choosing to extend grace anyway, and then showing up when it mattered. This is one of the oldest truths in human psychology, and one of the most consistently ignored. We treat people according to what we think we need from them right now, but life doesn't operate on that timeline. The stranger you're rude to in the morning might be the only hand extended to you by evening. The people you dismiss as irrelevant today might carry the key to the door you're banging on tomorrow. People want to help those who treated them with dignity, and remember those who didn't. James learned this in one afternoon. Some people carry this lesson for decades, some never learn it at all. There's a name for what James experienced that morning. Psychologists call it situational arrogance, the way stress and urgency collapse our social awareness. When we are overwhelmed, the brain narrows its focus. Empathy becomes expensive. Patience feels like a resource you can't afford. And the people around us, strangers especially, get downgraded. They become obstacles, inconveniences, background noise. And here's where it gets dangerous. Because that internal shift really announces itself. You don't decide to be dismissive, you just are, because you're running on cortisol and frustration, and your values quietly took a backseat. This is why character is not what you are when things are good. Character is what survives when things fall apart. James wasn't a bad person. He was a stressed person who stopped being intentional. The difference matters because one is a fixed identity and the other is a recoverable pattern. Here's what you take from this. Not just to be nice to strangers. That's the surface lesson. The deeper one is this. Who you are in your worst moments is a policy. Every time you let stress override your values, you're training a version of yourself that does it more easily next time. Every time you hold the line, treat people with basic dignity even when you're exhausted, even when you're afraid, even when nobody important is watching, you're building a character that holds under pressure. And that character, the one that stays consistent, is the one people trust, is the one people remember, is the one that gets the call. James needed help in a city he didn't know, and the network that saved him was built, accidentally, in a reverse by a stranger, who chose grace over retaliation. That stranger didn't owe James anything, but he showed up anyway. That's the kind of person worth becoming. You never know who the stranger at the gates becomes. You never know which offhand conversation becomes the one someone remembers about you. You never know which bridge you're burning. James went east to fight for his future. He almost lost more than a course change. He almost lost the version of himself his values were supposed to protect. One day, one argument, one moment of impatience, and by nightfall, it was looking him directly in the face. The city was unfamiliar. The lesson was ancient. Treat people like they matter because you never know when they will. If this story hits something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, not tomorrow, today. And if you want more of these real stories, real psychology, real lessons, hit subscribe and stay in the room. The next one might be the one that changes something.